All right, no, mine may look different because I've used it before, so I have documents in mine. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure everyone could get in before we started. That way, if we needed to fix anything, Jason could handle that while I was kind of showing you some things. You guys, does anyone use Google Classroom or assign anything in Google Classroom? Okay, all right. So if it's something that you wanted the children to use, the easiest way to give things to the children is through Google Classroom. So that's just something to know. So I'm going to show you some ways that you could use it personally without involving children, which may be right where some of you are, or you could use it and have children manipulate it and use it. Okay. All right. So when I am in my Google Drive, all of my documents automatically open in Cami, and I've set it that way. I'm going to show you how to do that. That may not be something you're interested in today, probably not, but I'm going to show you, because once you do use Cami, it'll be a whole lot easier for them to just open automatically. So from the settings tab, and we are recording this, so we'll post it on YouTube if you don't want to write everything down, like if it's easier for you to just watch. So you can go to your settings and go to your apps, and actually this includes a lot of different things here, but you can tell it your default apps. So Google Docs is probably one of your default apps. I have Cami set as mine. That means anytime I get a PDF in, it automatically opens in Cami. So this is more than just for Cami. All of your Google apps are here. And if there's something you don't like the way it opens, this is how you change it. Okay. So mine is checked, use Cami by default. That's just so everything opens in Cami. If you don't want to check that and you do want to open something in Cami, if you just right click on something and you go to open with, Cami is one of your choices. So that way you could do it either way.
Do they ever do this system wide? I feel like any PDF we open
Maybe. I actually had to turn mine on because mine opened in Orbit. I don't even know what Orbit Note is or why I have it on my computer. I think it comes from Google Read and Write. And so it was actually blocking some features that I'm probably not going to show you guys because I really don't think you're going to assign it in Google and grade it in Google Classroom and all that. But so I had to turn that off, and that was automatically put on my computer from Google Read and Write. So I left my notes in my school, so I had to have somebody over there take a picture of them. So I keep looking at my phone. All right, so Cami has, let me open, Cami has, it's called OCR, which is something character recognition, and it will read any document you put in. So let me go to my, so last year when I taught virtual learning, I used Scholastic Scope, which is like Storyworks in the lower grades. And I would scan the articles for the kids and just post them for them to read and then do the work that went along with them. So these are just articles that I scanned on the copy machine. Okay, so when I open it up, it will, apparently I've opened this one before, but it generally prompts you. So this is opened in Cami. Here's all my tools. It generally prompts you, would you like for it to run text recognition? So it's called OCR. If you see it somewhere else, it's in lots of different apps. Anytime you see that, it's optical character recognition. It means it looks at the picture and says, hey, those are letters, those are words. And then it will read them to you or read it to the children. So if you didn't use it for anything else but to scan something that you've got written and let it read it to the kids, then that's a huge step for you. It can read anything that you scan on the copy machine. Okay, so I'm going to run text recognition on this. I will say with this Scope magazine, because these columns are so short, do you see what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of columns on a page. It does sound a little choppy because it reads a line. So if it's long lines across a page, it does do a better job. Okay, so I just click on it. Let's see, read aloud.
Has been increasing. Just like regular cigarettes and smokeless tobacco, most vaping devices contain nicotine.
All right, so you can change the voice, you can speed it up, you can have a British person read it, you can have somebody read it with a Spanish accent, all those things. And so I think it's pretty cool for you to be able to scan something on the copy machine and give it to the kids and then be able to have it read to them. All right, so the kids have Kami. You wouldn't have to assign anything in Google Classroom. You just have to get it to them digitally somehow. You could email it to them or whatever. But as long as they could get it digitally, then they could have it read to them. And once it's run on a document, it's there for everybody. So the kids don't have to run the the text recognition, because for parents too, yeah.
So what did you click on for it to do the text recognition?
Okay, so if it doesn't automatically prompt you, the hamburger and then text recognition, and it will run for you. Okay. So that's a pretty powerful tool. That way you can use existing stuff you already have. If you already have a test, you can just scan it on the copy machine and have it read to them. All right, so. All right, so split and merge in Kami. This is where I feel like you might use it the most. So this is what my teachers, particularly my fourth grade teachers who don't do a lot of grading things in Google Classroom and all that, they thought this was the most important. You know, you buy things from Teachers Pay Teachers and they all have the answer key in them, right? Well, if they want to assign it to the kids, or just, they like to put resources in there for the kids to just read. Well, they don't want to include the answer key, right? So if you use split and merge, you can add files. I'm going to add files from my drive. And these are just things that I scan. Oh, man, I have to search for them. So this and this. So these are two different files that I scanned. One is go away. All right. So one is a food pyramid that I actually did with kids last year. And then one is this document that has the document and the answer key. Oh, that's man. So when I merge these two files, where did they go? Let's take it in a second. Sorry, it keeps deleting them. So you can see this one has the document and then the answer key, right? So I don't want the kids to have the answer key. So I'm just going to delete this page, and I want the kids to have this, and it's tilted sideways. So I'm going to rotate it. And now when I save this document, it's going to be all in one, and the kids aren't going to see the answer key. So, or the title page that gives you instructions in Teachers Pay Teachers stuff. So you can take out the things you don't want and then save it as a new PDF. So when Krista and Bill and Dr. Hicks and everybody are getting stuff ready for the Cognia thing, they're pulling all these PDFs and they're taking out this page, take out that page, put this page in, and then saving them as a new PDF for the Cognia review committee. So that's what they're using for, they're using Kami for that. It just makes it a whole lot easier to put just the things that you want together. So I'm going to export this. And I can download it, or I can save it right to my Google Drive, however I want to, whatever works best for me. I'm going to save it to my drive. Okay. So now the copy of the food web assignment is right here in my drive, and I can assign it to kids or just print it anew, whatever I wanted to do with it. So I think that split and merge is pretty useful. for you to get rid of things you don't want or put together a couple of different things that you already have. All right, so here's my assignment that I would give to the kids. And what I like about Cami is, especially for little kids, you can put comments on here yourself. So you can, here's comment. So my options are a text comment, which is probably not going to work for the little kids, a voice comment, so I could record instructions for them and they could click on it and it would play your instructions out loud to them. Or I could put a video comment or a screen capture. So for this one, I'm going to do a screen capture just to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to click on that and click over here for it to put my little dot. All right, and I'm going to say, this is the screen I want it to record. All right, guys, when you're doing this assignment, I want for you to work together to fill in these things. Just put a text box. And then when you get down here to the bottom, to the energy pyramid, I want you guys to actually put in pictures of animals that fall in these different layers. So the primary, the secondary, the tertiary, I want you guys to put those pictures of those animals or grass or whatever falls into those categories in your food pyramid. And now my instructions are there, showing them exactly the instructions for this page. Scroll down to the second page. Here's the instructions for that page. Right? So I like this because they just click on the button and it plays for them. Okay. They can add comments. They could add voice comments or text comments too. So if they needed to respond to you in some way, they could put their comments on here too. No, it's hard for kindergarten's not typing anything, but first grade could maybe type a little, but still you'd get a much better response with the audio response from them. All right, so that's comments. Another thing that I think you might like, even if you didn't do anything with the kids for it, is say I didn't like these instructions right here. I wanted to put my own instructions on here. So I would do a text box and type my new instructions. And I would put a white box. One box, shapes, box, a white box right here. And cover that up. Fill it in. There we go. Okay. And I can move my new instructions right here on top of this box and then resave it, and no one even knows there were old instructions there. Unlike a Word document or whatever where they could still drag it out of the way and see it. It's once you save it, the other stuff is gone and your stuff is there. So I feel like you might find that useful as well, just to put your own instructions on things. And you're not in the copy room with the whiteout, right? Been there, done that. Wish I had this when I taught math. All my math worksheets were handwritten. All right, so I do want to show you what some examples of some things kids did. So it's not, when you give instructions or when you tell them to do things, they're not all going to do it the same way. So this was something I had done. It was actually an assignment that Stacy Bracknell did in class with her 7th graders. So I assigned it to my virtual kids last year, and they each did it differently. So I just want to kind of show you all the different ways that kids completed this assignment. So they just had to label certain countries from Africa on the map. So this was Rosie Orr's. This was how she labeled hers. So they had to do it, label each one in a color. And that's how she did hers. She outlined them and put a little dot and put the name of the country there. So that was her take on the assignment, to color in the map and label the countries. This was Tyndall's. So she just colored them in like that. And this was Rory's. She did it. She used the text box tool, I think, just to label, to put a colored label and put the name. So there's a couple of different ways for them to complete the assignment, but they all did what was asked. They labeled the countries in the right colors, right? So they all did it a little differently. How in the world Rosie did this, I have no idea. Like, I love Rosie. Yeah. So one of the things that I think will be really helpful is next year, fingers crossed, they wrote the quote for it, the new Chromebooks will be touchscreen. Fingers crossed.
They just,
They're having to buy lower, Carrie. Because of the, I don't know. There's some debate about who's getting them and if anybody's getting them and whatever, but if they were touchscreen, imagine what your kids could do on a touchscreen with this. It's hard to write or to draw anything with the mouse, but with their finger or a stylus, imagine what they could do with it. You know,
afraid to tell y'all because that is.
Carrie, you're leaving. What do you care? All right. So, do you want me to show you how to assign this in Google Classroom? Okay. All right. So, assign it. So I'm in my Google Classroom. So I'm going to go to create and I'm going to do Cami assignment. That way that it automatically opens for the kids. There's no, well, I didn't know to open it this way. It's automatically going to open. So I'm going to click Cami assignment. And I'm just going to title it whatever. And then I just attach it. I haven't recently selected anything. All right, so one of the things that I do like about this is because, you know, children get overwhelmed and they like to do all the things, and there's a whole lot of tools in Cami for them to do all the things. So if you, when you're assigning it, if you click on control features, you can select the tools they have option to use. So you could turn off the video comment if you don't want video comments. You can say they can't use the drawing tool or whatever, you know, so you can control it a little bit. One of the things that I do want to point out to you is anytime you assign something to the kids, you always want, not always, 95% of the time, you want to make a copy for each student. Because if not, you're going to give them your copy and then everybody's going to be on your copy and you don't want that. So if you make a copy for each kid, it puts their name on it, which is like half the struggle, right? Them putting their name on it, puts their name on. So whatever you called it, so this was copy of food web assignment, it's going to say Rosie or copy of food web assignment. Instead of it being called Untitled, something that they have 500 of in their Google Drive, because they do that. They don't name anything. So it'll put their name and the name of the assignment. That way they can find it and you can find it. So that's just something to point out. Make a copy for each student. Very few times do you actually want everyone on the same document, especially not on your document. Make a copy. Okay. So I'm going to close that. Do you think you would ever have, so what I showed my middle school teachers when I did this, they do some group work with things. So I showed them what group work looked like with a couple of people working on that document. Do you want me to, are you interested in seeing that, or is that something you wouldn't do? You might do it, okay. All right, so this is one that I just, to do this like as a sample, I just assigned it to everyone in my class. And then I said, all right, Sam and Brian and Jordy, you guys are working together. Everybody work on Brian's. So you notice these are all the men in my building, all bad kids. So this is theirs that they've completed, right? So they've put in answers, put in some pictures, and you see these initials down here at the bottom. So this is, I can turn their stuff off and I can see what Brian did. So he did some work. Okay, let me turn Brian's off and I can see what Jordy did. All right, he answered a few questions. Okay, let me turn on Sam. Sam Robinson did not do a thing. Much like when I had him in 7th grade, did not do a thing. He was, yeah. Yeah, Sam was my first group of kids that I taught. It was a rough year to break me in that year, man. So I do like that feature. Again, that might not be something that you would use all the time, or maybe ever, but it is there to be able to see who did what. So I do like that about Cami. And this is where I was saying the other program got in the way of this and didn't give me the option to grade with Cami. So if you're missing that option in Google Classroom, some other program, we can just let me know and we'll figure it out. Some other program is stopping it from working. So I had to remove that orbit, whatever. And then this option came for me to use Cami to grade with. But I do like this because last year when we were doing virtual, if I could just leave them, even once they had done their work and turned it in, I could leave them a voice comment on it. And it was a whole lot quicker than typing something in, you know.
What do you have to choose for them to all get to that same point?
So what I would do, if I were doing this in my room, I would maybe do it a couple of different ways. I was just trying to do it quickly when I was showing the middle school teachers. I would either make a couple of assignments. Like I would make one that said group 1 and just assign it in Google Classroom to these certain kids. Or
Instead of it, make a copy for
but just to show them, I just did make a copy. I don't know if your kids can handle this. Like in a middle school, I could make a copy for every student and then say, all right, you 3 are working together. Brian, you share yours with the other 2 and everybody's doing on your kids couldn't do that. Middle schoolers can, you know, so it's way easier to do it that way. But I don't think so. All right, so I would like for you guys to play with it. So I'm going to email you. I'm going to email you one to play with for a little bit. And I also want to show you, maybe I should show you first. Let me show you this first because I think that you'll like this. So on Cami, the signature tool, you know, you have to sign all kinds of, when you're doing anything. Last year we bought some land down on the lake and I had to sign stuff, but you couldn't do anything in person, right? So if you open the document in Cami, you can upload a signature if you've got one. You can draw it on the computer, which I would not suggest because it looks like a hot mess, or you can click draw signature on phone and it will email you. So let me go to my email on my phone. It's going to email me a little thing to use my phone and write with. So it emails me this, and I can click start drawing, and I can sign my name. And it's uploading it, and then it's going to give me that choice to put that signature on my document. So like Stephen and I both had to sign things for the lake land and I just sent it to him. I sent him this link and he could sign his name and then I put his signature where I needed to on the form. And he was at work and I was here and we got it done. So if you, this is totally personal use with the schools, but whatever. I mean, it's really neat that you can just get it done like that. That's horrible, so I'm going to X that one out. Like there was Stevens, he did not do a good job, but it was fine. That's not really that far from his handwriting. All right, so I'm going to send this. Do you have an internal email? Like we have one that doesn't send to Dr. Hicks and everybody. Do you guys have a Jones internal email? Or if I just do Jones? JES. K?
It's like a dash K. Or I don't know if kindergarten does, but we do.
-1. Whatever for me. All right, so Jones. Can I send it to everybody?
And it's JES.1. And it looks like there's a K, but I don't know.
JES.1 at breathandcs.com. Oh, there. Yeah, that's what I want. And you think JES.K?
Yes.
Sometimes everybody's going on there.
Gotcha. So if that happens, like at the beginning of the year, if you get new teachers, just submit a tech request that says add so-and-so and take so-and-so off, and they'll handle it. No, it's taking me a hot minute to work through all my folders. Okay. So I sent it to you. I think you may, because you haven't used Cami before, you may need to download it, and then from the Cami app, you can open things from your drive or your computer. So if you just download it to your computer, you can open it to your computer. But what I sent you looks like this, and it's just to let you play with the tools a little bit. So see, this is the first time I've opened this, and it asked me to run text recognition. So it would read the instructions to me. So this is what I sent you, so you can play with the tools. Did you get it? Did it go through? Oh, it did not. Address not found. It did not like that. Ooh, no. Apparently it does not let me email y'all. Carrie, the
We just tried to work on like one of the trending resources.
yeah,
On
whatever.
the screen, like
Yeah.
Venn diagram.
Yeah. I sent it on the one Carrie sent out with the Zoom link, if you want to use that one, or you can use one of the other things.
Now see if you got a new email.
I replied to Carrie's Zoom link.
Open up your email. Like open up a tab, open up your email. Open up, like, click on plus. So.
So you just click on the resource and you can open with Cami at the top of the screen. How did you enter it? Is that over with Cami? Okay, go back to your. That's not a choice for you. So I guess download it.
Yeah.
And then when you go to Cami, or she knows to. Is that okay? Open it from where
Hey, everybody, she gets quick. You want help? No thanks, I'm good. Never ask.
What are we doing? I noticed that.
Click on it, see if it.
What you trying to do, baby?
I'm in my friend. She's.
Do you know where download is?
Go back. Go get out.
Yeah, that's probably not what's the choice. Okay, so go to your TV, Is that an output? Do I want it? If you want it to read it to you, yeah. It'll read the instructions to you.
I don't even know how to open my email.
Gonna go right here.
So if you do text recognition, it'll read the directions to you.
Oh my gosh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
And
And I
all
used
you
this
have
on
is
the
a
copy
little
machine
side.
yesterday. So it's not like any fancy whatever.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Well, you can hear me.
I'm on 8 right now.
How's it going, man?
Me too.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's hard to color with your mouse.
Yeah. It helps that you can.
I don't really.
Hey,
So you-
Like, here, look, Mitzi's out there and
Yeah, I don't know where you got.
Well, that's what I missed for that, but I bet that's what I was doing that. Like read aloud, okay, okay. How do you make it? What are you?
Here, yeah, you go to the. And now draw.
You does it.
Look, they're not gonna have to do it with this.
Yeah, 'cause they're
You know what I'm saying? They're, it's not their problem. They got this.
You're not, and what the hell do you do? I can't either.
Ever to find this language.
Yes, exactly.
So I think if you used it for nothing else but taking out the pages you don't want from PDFs, having it read to them occasionally, and maybe if you needed it for your own personal signature, like at least you've got, there's several things you can do with it. You could put together your own packets with it, that kind of stuff that you know you would never even have to assign to the kids unless you wanted to. I have just one more fun thing to show you just because I thought it was neat. It's called Classroomscreen.com. It's free, there's paid version, but this one's free. You can set up your own little background, and then there are random name pickers, roll the dice, sound level things that you can have going, lots of different things that you can just have going on your screen. So a timer, a stoplight noise thing, just a couple of different things that are all tools that you would use all there together. So that one's Classroomscreen.com. Just because I thought it was worth sharing. But you can set your own little background too. You guys have any questions? That's all I got. I tried to be fast. And whoever gets in next year, sorry. He's coming. He's coming. Right, and Maddox and Asher. Those boys are a hot mess. Teach your kids. There was an incident where one of them put their own head in the toilet. then he was like, I didn't do it. I was like, but you saw it. He was like, I saw it. I was like, that means you were participating. It was Maddox. He put his head in the toilet. Maddox Wilson.
Wasn't she Eli from the Forest Friends class? I know.
Maybe just to be like, just
Why was he in the Forest Friends bathroom? Oh.
Eli, not Eli climbing under the stall.
Oh.
The other Eli. She was in there with him.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It's like, he's gonna come home with only one shoe. I was like, you can send him home naked for all I care. Like, I'll something strap right now, you just wrap him in garbage bag. Like, you can burn his clothes. It's fine.
Then we had the gang initiation where they all cut their hair. Every single one of the boys. I'm not sure how that many boys cut their hair. Noticing, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
do we click to stop it or just do end?
Yeah. Hey, do you guys on Zoom have any questions? Or are you good?
Unmute.
Yeah. They can just end it and then we can, because it'll need a few minutes to save and so we can upload it. So end an end meeting for all.